morning, everyone. Welcome along to our webinar this morning. We're looking at it's a report designer related webinar, this one. So we're looking at adding text to your invoice layouts. Now, what you'll learn today is how easy it is to do that. It means you can add a message in, you can change it at any time, but you could also apply that same process to things like customer statements, sales orders, purchase orders, credit notes, maybe even remittance advices. So it's just about adding text. Now, loads of different options that you've got available for this. Now, we've advertised this as adding a festive message. A lot of people like to do that in the run up to sort of Christmas. So giving you a chance to get used to that and learn how it works before sort of, I suppose, that Christmas rush arrives. So if you want to put on a festive message on there, whatever that would look like, it could be, well, you've got loads of other options as well. So that's what we're going to run through today, give you an idea of what that process looks like. Potentially quite a short webinar, depends how many questions we get along the way. If you want to learn more about editing things like invoice layouts, we've got some great report designer recordings available. So link will be included on your follow-up email. And speaking of follow-up emails and things like that, we'll just quickly run through a little bit of housekeeping before we get stuck into today's session. So as normal, you don't need a microphone for these sessions. If you've attended us before, you'll know that. So if you do have a microphone though, if you come along and you enable that as you join, you'll find it's muted automatically and you can't unmute yourself. So as normal, any questions that you might have for myself, just myself running this session today, because quite low numbers for this one, hasn't been very well advertised. So any questions that you might have, just pop them in the questions panel. As usual, to access that, just click the little speech bubble icon. It's on the toolbar down the right. Give it a click. When you do, it'll expand. You'll get access to that box in the bottom right-hand corner. So that's where you can type in any comments or questions that you might have along the way. So anything you're not sure about, you might see something in the background that maybe I don't cover or skirt past, or maybe you just don't quite grasp it, then let me know. Just pop a comment in there. Remember to click send as well, otherwise I don't see that. If you want a copy of today's slides, there aren't many for today's session. Really will just be, I suppose, demo based, but you can download them during the session should you want them. Now, with the likes of Report Designer, sometimes it's one of those very, I think, visual things that to help you learn. So you'll want to see the demo, see the process of adding in that text. So as usual, this session is being recorded. A link to the recording will be included on the follow-up email. You'll get that follow-up email around about an hour after we finish. So if you want a bit of a recap, or maybe as and when you're ready to run through that, or maybe you want to share with a colleague, just watch out for that follow-up email. It will include that link to the recording, so you can work through that at your own time as and when you're ready. There'll be a link to register for our upcoming webinars, and as I mentioned, on our recordings page, which is a link to as well, there's loads of report designer sessions on there. So if you want to learn how to add a logo, text, anything really to spruce up your invoice a little bit and maybe make it look how you want it to look, then some great recordings on there. So watch out for that one. Right, in this session then, why would you add text? Let's have a bit of an introduction to that. We'll then get stuck into a bit of a demonstration, and just at the end, I'll explain more about the additional support. And if there are any outstanding questions at that point, I'll hang around and try and pick those up as well. But not many of you logged on this morning, so should be a chance for you to get your questions in and for me to answer them. So we might, never know, we might be able to run off and veer off a little bit here and there and run a few extra demos here and there if needed. So why are we going to add text in the first place? So loads of options for the type of text that you might want to add on there. Now it could be something as simple as it's a heading next to a box. It might be things like a festive greeting, contact information, details of special offers that you might have. Might be a way of adding a bit of text on to promote new product ranges or the services you offer. So again, you probably think of some suppliers that you deal with, and you think, oh, I didn't know they provided that service. So you sometimes see it on invoices, and I always encourage this when dealing with invoices. Before you start amending your own, have a look at other invoices that you receive. What do you like about that? Is there any information that they provide that actually you look at yours and you think, actually, I don't have my contact information on there. I don't include an email address, or I don't include my bank details. Bank details is a common one to add as well. It's probably the starting point when people add text. Pop their bank details at the bottom just to promote online payments. You might want to include your payment terms if there's any special conditions. Now, the benefit of adding text is that it'll automatically be included when you either email or print your invoices. Now, I will keep referring to invoices, but again, it's any layout within your software. And as you'll see in the demonstration in just a moment, it's very easy to amend or remove that text. So if you want to add a message on for the festive period, for instance, and then you want to take that off for going into the new calendar year, it's very easily done. I'm sure there'll be some opportunities that you can think of. Like we've got a, we've got a special offer coming up in January, so let's start advertising that now. So that's the kind of thing you could put on there, but almost like a free bit of advertising, just by invoicing your customers. Anyway, we'll get stuck into a bit of a demonstration just to show you what that looks like. But again, keep your questions coming though. Right, let's pop into Sage then. So as I say, we're going to concentrate on an invoice today. It's where most people start, and essentially it's the same process, no matter which type of layout that you are amending. Now for invoices, if you're brand new to it, you will have to have at least one invoice entered before you can start amending an invoice layout. So even if you just enter a dummy one and then amend your invoice layout and then delete this dummy invoice afterwards, that's fine. But you'll need to highlight at least one of them on your list to activate the print option at the top. So we click print, takes us into our list of layouts. You can see I've got a couple flagged as a favorite, so I've got the little star selected. Just means if you do that, it will default to your favorites folder when you come in. It makes them a little bit easier to find, similar for when you go to run reports. But if we pop into layouts, and it will give you a list of the layouts, you can see the one, or the first one that I've got flagged as a favorite. If you want to flag one as a favorite, you literally just click on the star. Anyway, we'll highlight, we'll just pick on this one here. And we'll highlight it, we'll click edit at the top. Now, if you've never used Report Designer before, always think it's a little bit daunting when you first go in there and you see the design of your invoice. There's loads of options in here. It's a really powerful part of the program. So let's start with some sort of festive greeting. Now, just to quickly run through the invoice itself, I'll zoom in a bit so you can see this hopefully a little bit clearer as well. You can see the kind of information that's included on there. Let's zoom out so we can see that. So this is what we term our, this is the design of our invoice layout. In here you can see we've got some what we term data fields. Some of it's text, but most of it's data fields. So at the top of the invoice, we've got data fields here that's going to pull through our company name and address. It then says invoice or credit. So again, it'll print that text depending on what it is you're generating. It's got a page number. It's got variables there for the customer's name and address. So when you output the invoice, it'll populate the relevant information in that location. You've got some other information, invoice number, invoice date, customer order number, account reference. Now you might want to put text in front of these, depends on your layout. So if you're emailing, whether you're printing, if you're printing, that type of thing, traditionally was things like the text that said invoice number, traditionally that would have been on the actual stationery itself. But if you're printing on plain paper, or maybe you're using stationery that doesn't have that, then you could just add that as text. So pop in some titles next to this information that gets generated. But this is the header section. You've got some column headings in here as well for the main body of the invoice. The main body of the invoice, loads of sections in here. If you're thinking about generating your own layout, I would say that's fine, but a lot easier to find an invoice layout that's very close to what you want. Obviously, there's loads of them in there. So find the one that's closest to what you want and then start making changes to that. This can be a bit of a minefield, to be quite honest, if you are designing your own. It's not as simple as you might think if you've never touched Report Designer before. So loads of different groups in here. You've got item number footers and headers and other options in there, depending on what it is you're doing, of course. Come a little bit further down the layout, and we can see at the bottom, traditionally, it's where the delivery address would print. Again, doesn't have to print there. You could move that information to the top if you wanted to. It's entirely up to you. But traditionally, that's where it would have printed, bottom left. And then again, you've got your tools in there as well. Now, if you don't use things like a delivery address, you can get rid of that. And that's quite common. It's where people start typing in things like bank details as well. Now, what I'll do is I'm going to remove this information. So I'll just highlight it, click delete. I'll just do them one at a time. Or if you drag a box around them, it highlights multiple options at the same time. And then I can just press delete on the keyboard. And it frees up a bit of space for me. Might be that actually I just make it a bit more compact, the delivery address, so it gives me a bit more space. But it leaves a nice space for me at the bottom here. And this is where what I'm going to do today, I'm just going to start adding some text. Now, it doesn't really matter what that text is for the purpose of this demonstration. It's just really how you go about adding that in. So whether it's as I say, a Christmas message, it might be seasonal contact hours. So if you're closing over sort of the Christmas period, when are you available? Contact details, special offers, could be anything, whatever you can think of that you might want to add. Now, to add text, we're going to add a text box into this here, into this sort of area towards the bottom. And all we do is we click on the toolbar at the top, add text. Now, if you don't have that toolbar displayed, you can always go via the toolbox menu. There's an option, add text, do the same. If you're going to be doing a few, using it quite a bit, you can display the toolbar, just a case of right-clicking on a blank part of the toolbar, and there's an option called Toolbox Basic. That's the one that you want switched on. It's the one that includes the Add Text option and the Add Image Stroke Logo option as well. If I just switch it off, so you might be in this position. So I just right-click and switch it back on. You can move them around as well if you want to, just to make a bit more space on your toolbar at the top there, if needed. I think by default it would just stack them, so it uses a bit more space. Anyway, we're going to click Add Text. When we do that, we just move our mouse to roughly where we want to start typing. You'll see the mouse pointer turns to a cross. And at that point, if I just click, you'll see it puts a box in there. And basically that contains a cursor, and I can start typing at that point. So I'm not very fast at typing, so I'll just keep it nice and simple. Right, I'll leave it at that. Let's change that to a capital H there. Now that might be all I want to do. Obviously, I could include, it's exactly the same process to things like to pay us online or make a payment to us online using the following details. And it means that your customer is not having to contact you and say, right, well, can I just make a payment to you? Can you take my card details? They just pay you online. You're providing them with the relevant information that they need. Now, at this point, I could just click off it. That might be enough. If I click back to it, I can drag it round. You'll see as I drag the text box, you'll see the blue sort of the blue alignment guides. So I can see at that point, when I'm dragging this, you see the blue lines move all over the place. And it's just giving me a guide on what that text box is aligned to. So I can see at the moment, the bottom of that text box that I'm busy dragging around, if I want to align the bottom of that text box to the bottom of the total net amount, you can see it puts that blue line in. Now, if you're happy with it, that's fine. If you find you just need to nudge it into position with it selected, you can use your cursor keys just to move it around on the screen, just to almost like nudge it into position. Might want that centered at the bottom. So just a little bit of trial and error sometimes. I'll just move it back up here. And if I'm happy with it, I just click off it, and that's as good as it done at that point. Now I might want to change fonts. I might want to change the color, the font style, the font size, the positioning. I might want to wrap it a little bit, make it a bit narrower, a bit longer. And we can start. We've got various options anyway that we can, we could wrap the text so it's a bit shorter, add information in there. But if we were happy, that would be it done. We just click off it and save all layout. Let's say we want to make it so the font is consistent with maybe these titles here, where it says total net amount, carriage net, etc. Now, if I click onto this, you can see there's at the top on the toolbar at the top, there's what we term a style attached to it. So this one, when I click through them, you'll see these are all flagged as the style header 2. So the style header 2 is to Homer. In this instance, it's size 10 and it's in bold and it's left aligned. If I click onto this one, it's a little bit different. It's not bold, it is left aligned, it's size 10, but it's a different font. Now, if I want to make it the same as these, just for consistency, I can just click on it. And all I do is I reselect header 2 from the list. There's loads of different styles there, but find the one that's closest to what you want. And then you can apply it here. Now, if I've applied a style, I'll come back to the sizing issue in just a moment. But let's say I wasn't happy with that and I think, well, actually, I want it to be header 2. So it's the same sort of size and it's in bold, but actually maybe I want to change the color. So if I highlight the text, let's say I change the color. So I want it to be a solid color. You've got various options, but solid color. And actually that's the background there that I'm selecting. Let's just cancel that one. So with it selected, sorry, if I go in to change the color of the font, I've selected the background as opposed to the text. Just to highlight that again. So we change the font color this time rather than that little background one. Don't get caught out with that one like I just have. And I can change that color to whatever I want. So if I want it to be like more of a, let's say we want it to be more of a red and green for sort of a Christmas holly sort of theme, we can do that. Now, when we change it, because it's got what we term a theme applied, so that header 2, it's saying, do you want to update the header 2 style with this new font? Now, if I say yes, what it would mean is it would update the header 2 style, and anything that is flagged with header 2 would also change. So these totals here would also change. So I'm going to choose no to that one. So I just want to change this one that I'm in at the moment. If I click off it, you'll get the idea. Now I'm just going to click back to it. And I'm just going to, essentially I've just done shift and return there within that, just to wrap that down a little bit. And then, if I wanted to, I could, let's say I want to center it. You could put a box around it, change the border color, put it within a colored box. There's loads of options for you. So it's really up to you to decide what you want to do. Now, this is just, again, a message such as this. It's just one example. You might even put a bit of clipboard at either end if you wanted to put a, an image in there. So if you wanted to put a little bit of holly at either end, or a Christmas tree, or whatever it is, just add image, just click, and then just browse your PC and select your logo. Makes it nice and easy. I'll just delete that. So again, once you've done it, it's just a case of you putting that into the right position, whatever that looks like. And then when you're happy, just click off it and that's it done. Now, if it's a standard layout that you're adding text to, as we've just done, when we go to save the changes, you will find that the save option is grayed out. So if anyone's as old as me, the old floppy disk icon, that's traditionally has always been a save option, that's grayed out. But also on the file menu, you'll see that save is grayed out as well. So it won't let you save over any changes over the top of a standard sort of layout. What you'll need to do is use File Save As and give it a different file name. Just put my initials in. I'll just put a different file name in there and I'll save it. It will save it to the relevant folder for you, so you don't need to start browsing through and saying, I want to save it into that folder, etc. It will save it into the right folder for you. So we'll just save it. And then if I do close out, I can then just try and find it on the list. So here it is here. You just see it above where I've got the mouse there. So MCINV, is that the one? That's not the one I've just typed in, is it? It's this one at the bottom. I've run this a few times already, so it's this one at the bottom here that I've just highlighted. You can see the file name on the right-hand side. If I want to change this as well, the name and description, I can always right-click and I can change the name and description. Put Michael's Xmas invoice layout, just so I can easily identify that. So it just updates it here. And change obviously the description as well if required. But it means that's then done. So anytime I use this layout, obviously it'll include that bit of text that I've put on there. So we just quickly preview one. So you can see we've got that message on there. Now let's say I want to change that. Now I can access the report designer in a couple of different ways. I can just click edit at the top while I'm previewing it, that does it. Or we can just go back to the list of layouts and with the layout selected, again, if we click edit, takes us into the report designer. It brings up that design for me. And again, if I just scroll down to the bottom, we've got it there. But I want to change that. So let's say we've got past Christmas now, and we're moving into sort of January. We've got some special offers on. We can delete that bit of text and add some new in, or we can just double click it. And when we double click it, it gives us the flashing cursor. We can delete what's there. We can amend it. You never know. You might do it, and you might think, "Oh, I've got a typo in there." So you can change it if required. Let's just say January special offers. Let's see if I can type today. And then again, we could start listing items. And it means every time I generate an invoice using this specific layout, it will include that text as well. So I'm not having to then provide additional documents or, manually attach additional documents or anything like that. I'm just including that little message, that bit of text, when I generate the invoice using this specific layout. Any questions so far at all? Now, when you highlight the text, I'll obviously give you a chance to pop your questions in as well, but when you highlight your text, remember you've got the properties panel up at the top here. Now, I wrapped it manually before, so I used Shift and Enter But let's say if I pop in a lot more text there, I'll just type some random information in there. Let's make it a bit narrower. Well, let's say I want to wrap this automatically. So I don't want to, it's a set width. I don't want to have to do shift and enter and all of that type of thing. I can just highlight that into report properties. You've got the word wrap. If I change that at the top here, click on the drop down, I'll say true. And all it means is if I change the sort of the width of that, it'll wrap the text accordingly. Now, if you can't see that properties option at the side there, you may have switched it off at some point. So I can't see properties there now. All I do is I go to view, and then I'll have that properties option. So it'll give you this. Generally, it will be pinned to the side here. So it's just a case of selecting what you're after, clicking properties, and there'll be options in here. So you can choose what it is you're after. So things like your word wrap, auto grow, you've got the style at the moment. So you can change things in here as well. At the moment, there's no border around the text box, but again, I could change that if I wanted to. Loads and loads of different options. Switch the borders on. You might just draw a box manually as well. Again, let's put that one in red. Make it a bit thicker as well so we can clearly see it. Again, I'm sure you get the idea. Again, save your changes. That's it done. So loads of options. There's loads of help and resources available as well within our help center. As you could probably imagine, the report designer, with it being such a big and powerful tool, it's probably one of the distinguishing features from maybe other software I've seen as well, including other Sage levels of accounting as well. It's the report designer. The report designers in Sage 50 accounts really powerful. Hence, you've got hundreds of reports available in your software. Again, just going back to that one bit of advice I always give, well, two. I'll pick the first one. Have a look at your invoices you receive. Is there anything included on there? Is it the design you like? Is it certain information? So such as things like email address information. This is a standard invoice template provided with Sage. So you've got your company name and address, VAT reg number. You've got the customer's details. But there's no telephone number on there. There's no, if anyone still uses a fax, no fax number, email address, website address, contact hours. There's no payment details on there by default. So have a look at that. Is there anything missing from yours that you could include? Maybe think about those phone calls you receive about your invoices. Are they after things like payment information? Could you just provide that at the bottom of your invoice layout? It means it'll avoid that call. What we used to term, I think we did some training not so long ago, and it was what we term a time thief. So I think that's how it was categorized. So those calls that just basically bite into your time that don't need to happen. So by providing that information, it means you don't get interrupted. Now, the second tip, and I always do this, if you've been on my report design sessions before, hopefully you'll be familiar with this one. If you do make changes to layouts or reports, let me just save my changes. Now, you can invest a lot of time in getting your invoices right, looking how you want, and that goes for your other layouts as well, for that matter. So if you're trying to sort of, I suppose, push through that company brand, adding your logo, making the fonts look how you want them, and the colors and positioning and that sort of thing, to get your company brand, so it's got a certain look and feel to that document. So you can, as I say, you can invest a lot of time getting that right. What you don't want to happen is someone to come along, or in either delete that layout and you need to start again, or if you make further amends to it and you make a right mess of it and you accidentally save those changes, back up your layouts separately. Easy to do. Into File, choose your backup option. So this will be, you'll be familiar with this sort of window, I'm sure, hopefully. Normally you'd be backing up your data files only. That's the only thing that would really normally change on a daily basis. Maybe attachments these days as well. But for your layouts, take a layouts only backup. So make sure that's the only one that's ticked. Call it something like Sage Layouts. Save it somewhere so you know where. So you obviously can browse to wherever you want to save that Sage Layouts backup to. And when you're happy, just OK that. You will get a message saying, well, I'm getting one saying the file already exists because I've done it before. But if I just click yes to that, this is the standard message you'll get saying, warning, you've not included any data files as part of this backup. Do you wish to continue? So we'll just click yes to that prompt. Just let it run through. That will back up my layouts only, and it means that if anything does go wrong with my layouts going forward, or we delete one or amend one and we make a right dog's dinner of that, we can easily get back to where we were just by restoring that layouts only backup. It doesn't overwrite any data. You'd still then obviously be backing up your data in the normal way. So probably the best bit of advice I can give you in relation to backups and your reports or your layouts. Right, any final questions? If you want to pop them in there. If you've got any other questions as well, we've got a little bit of time this morning. So if you've got any other questions, pop them in there, even if it's not related to this webinar. Go on, chance you're on, pop them in there. You never know, it might save you ringing up our support team or checking the help center later on. So pop them in there if you've got any questions. So remember, you can download the handout if you do want it. Not much information on there. I'll quickly show you our help center. Right, let me bring up my browser. I'll share the right screen this morning, that might help. So if I go to our help center, so sage.co.uk/help, just access it. Bring up this screen. I'll choose Sage 50 accounts, the desktop, and you can search our help center, but there is an area specifically for layouts and reports. So if you just scroll down, we choose View All Support Hubs, and where is it? See if I can find it this morning. There it is, Reports and Layouts. So if I just click into that, the idea is it guides you into the to try and find the help and support that you're after. So have a go of that if necessary. Paveen, interesting question from you. Let me see if I can remember this. So Paveen's question, how do we add a paid with thanks to the invoice? See if I can remember. So first of all, let's just have a quick look at the invoice. Just going to go into it. Now, first of all, when you're entering your invoice, you've got this payment tab down the side. So what you would need to do is you would need to indicate that first of all the invoice has been paid. Now I'll actually just enter one from scratch. I think this one's already been posted, which is why that's grayed out. Let me just enter a new one. Just do it against this one. So invoice total 2160. I'll just do 2160 here. And I'll just say payment already received. Now it could be that you're entering the receipt at the same time. So if you're receiving the money when you're entering the invoice, or maybe it was already paid in advance. So if you don't need to record a new transaction for that receipt, you would choose the first option. The other ones, obviously you've got that choice there. So I'll just quickly save that. Right, now see if I can actually find it. It's going to be one of two areas, I think. One is company preferences. Let's see if I can remember my password. Or have I just typed that in wrong? Oh, it's not liking that today. Right, let me just check the other area I was thinking of. It's this option here. So add a message to your invoice, cash sale paid in full. So you could use other things in there as well. Now it will depend on your layout to a certain extent. I'll try and find the exact information that you need, Pauline. It's a while since I've touched that one. Any additional questions at all for me? Right. If not, what I'll quickly do, just to quickly mention some of the additional resources you've got available. If I pop back to the slides for a moment, Help Centre's obviously loads in there. So whether it's a knowledge base, you want support guides, sometimes there's videos in amongst it, which is great on the report design side. Sometimes it lists the free training that's available. Sage University is a great resource if you've never used that before. And also it'll give you ways to get in touch with our support team if you can't find what you're after. So do have a go of that if you're not that familiar with the Help Centre. Loads of webinars on the go at the moment. Timetable currently covers November and December, so do check that out. I think we're finishing the week before Christmas with webinars this year. I think the Thursday on the week before Christmas is our last session of this year, and then we'll be kicking off again back in January next year. But have a look. The link to the webinar page is included on your follow-up email. It's always the same one. You can access the live timetables, the recordings. So as I mentioned earlier at the start, there's loads of recordings for Report Designer available. And finally, let me thank you for coming along this morning. I hope you've enjoyed it, giving you a little bit of food for thought, giving you an idea of the kind of thing you can do with your invoices, adding that text in. Do have a good look through your invoices and see, is there anything missing? Is it not exactly staring you in the face because it's not there, but should it be staring you in the face that there's information missing from your invoices? Have a look. That goes for your other layouts as well. If you issue statements, think about maybe including online payment details on those as well. But we'll end the webinar just at that point. Many thanks for coming along. As usual, there's a little survey to complete if you've got any thoughts or ideas about the webinars, topics you'd like to see covered, that type of thing. And your follow-up email will be with you in round about an hour's time, so watch out for that. But otherwise, get yourself registered, and I hope to see you on some other webinars very soon. Many thanks.